My story is, I went to Microsoft and asked them to help me on a product which is their flagship product called Exchange, Microsoft Exchange. It's an email server platform. They charged me $1,500 US and told me that with this $1,500 US for 1 year, it's valid for 1 year, I could ask them 10 questions, which meant that every time I asked them a question, I pay $150 US. And when I ask them a question, they're supposed to give me the answer immediately. But when I asked them a question, it took them 3 weeks to give me a reply. At the end of the 3 weeks, I got a refund on my $150 because it was unacceptable. They're supposed to answer within 3 working days and provide you with a solution. They were not able to. My question was not very difficult. My question was a very, very simple question. The problem is that inside of their software, they had gone and hard-coded some values. And because of those hard-coded values, a replication, all I was trying to do is, here is site A, here is site B. I want these two sites to be able to communicate with each other so that all people in site A can talk to all people in site B. And the two sites become independent mail domains, but are able to exchange email with each other without any problem and automatically appear inside your address book. That's all I wanted to do. Very, very simple. There's a documented process which tells you how to do it, but it didn't work. And it didn't work because it was hard-coded inside of their product that unless you put the values exactly as how they had mentioned in the manual, it would not work. So that's the kind of support that you get when you're with proprietary software. There's also, of course, the moral and ethical reasons to use free and open source software. How many of you here actually use a copy of Microsoft Windows and Microsoft Office and Photoshop and let's say, give me a few more software that you actually use and pay for it? Adobe, okay. And pay for it. How many of you have paid for the software that you are using?
Actually, I got my laptop and it was preloaded with Windows.
Right.
And it was something I paid for, but I didn't want to pay for it.
I know.
Because
that's a serious problem.
Yeah, because I asked for a laptop and the models which they had, the good ones had preloaded Windows, and only the very bare bones models were coming without. So actually, I paid for software even when I did not want to pay for it.
That's another side of the story, but we'll come to that. But what I want to know is how many of you actually paid for your software? Nobody. Okay, so there is always the good excuse, all the software is made by the Americans and we hate the Americans anyway, so big deal. So we'll pirate their software and we'll use it, so I don't have a problem with that. But you're not going to be able to live with that for very long. There is a moral and ethical side to this. You don't need to use pirated software. And if you don't need to use pirated software, look for the solutions. Look for the options that are available to you. And start using those options. Oh, I love this one. It's stunningly inexpensive. It's free. This is causing a problem to the software vendors. They don't know how to compete with you. When you sell your software for free, what am I going to give you my software at, which is doing the same job, maybe does it worse, but how am I going to sell it to you? That's what you're competing with out here. And like I said, free software today is actually driving the innovation in the computer technology field. So if you actually go out and look at it, you'll see that changes are happening first on the free software side, and they are slowly being adopted by others. Internet Explorer got tabbed browsing only after it saw it in Opera and Firefox. Opera and Firefox are both free software, open source software. Okay, so this is just to break the tempo here. Nice bunch of penguins, but I'm going to talk about more about support. When you look at the support that is available to you on Linux or on free software, the first thing that you come across is the vast amount of documentation that is out there. It is absolutely colossal. You can get complete books, and I'm not joking, you can get complete books, 400, 500 page books, which you can download, in a printer-friendly format. So if you want to print it out and use what we call the dead tree format, kill more trees, you can do that. Or if you want to read a PDF, or if you want to download a HTML version, put it on your laptop and read it, you get absolutely all of those options. And it's absolutely wonderful, very, very well written documentation. The reason being, it's written by people like you and me. If I know the software that I'm writing, I will write my documentation about it. It's a boring job, but yes, I will write my documentation about it so that others can start using it. Or I will do the next best thing. I'll volunteer these three guys sitting in front and say, hey, you write my manual, I'll write the software. That also works. It works brilliantly. There are what we call the Linux user groups. Now, I'm using the word Linux, but Linux user groups today are not restricted to Linux at all, or Linux alone. They actually talk about all free software. So, versions of BSD, versions of, other free software that's available, it's all discussed at the same place. A user group is a fun place to hang out. I mean, what does the user group in Delhi, which I'm associated with, what does that do? Well, they meet once a month. They first have samosas, then they have chai, then they have a lecture or a couple of lectures, then they talk about some new and interesting software, and then they go out and have dinner somewhere or go watch a movie. It's like a little club. People who just want to have fun, they get together, but they also solve each other's problems. They run what is known as a mailing list, or you may know them as Yahoo groups or Facebook groups or whatever. But these mailing lists are a very, very valuable resource for you to get answers to your questions. I don't know how to do the following in Linux. Can somebody help me? You ask a question like this at a mailing list, you will get an answer. Or if you want, if you're into internet relay chat, which is a very nice option, interactively chat with people, you can literally talk to every single expert in the free and open source community to get your answers solved. In fact, you can actually talk to the authors of the software. If you take a look at a product like, say, for lack of anything else, Microsoft Word, do you even know who the author of Microsoft Word is? As far as you're concerned, it is Microsoft Corporation. There is no names behind it. But the idea must have been one person's, who then built a team around it and started writing this piece of software.